Okay, so, hey babe,
Hi, handsome.
you look very nice.
So do you. He has his date night shirt on.
Maddie got me this shirt. Well, your mom got me this shirt.
Yes.
You got me the other one.
Yes.
So obviously this year, well, and last year, but this year as well has been, I think, a big lesson on non-attachment for us. So I just kind of wanted to go through a couple of things, obviously with COVID and quarantine and restrictions, obviously specifically quarantining in Australia and us not being able to go see your family.
Yeah.
I think we've had a lot of lessons on not being attached to certain outcomes. And I think for people like us that are very used to creating a reality, like creating our own reality, and we've learned a lot of the skills to shape our world, make the money we want, live where we want, do the things that we want.
Yeah.
I think it's been a pretty big lesson for us. So I just kind of wanted to.
That being said, I still got like 80% of the things on my vision.
This is true. This is true. You still
I do want it to be known.
You still had like 80% of the things on your vision
Yeah.
board, but I do want to talk like specifically around a couple things that I think have been really hard for us.
Yeah.
The first one specifically being your sister having her first kid. First in your family, you have an older brother and a younger sister, and your younger sister is had her first kid.
So I'm an auntie.
So she's an auntie. I'm an auntie as well.
We're both aunties.
We're both
Auntie
aunties.
Zander.
Auntie Zander. But talk me through that, because it's been a whirlwind for the last, few months, not being able to go visit, not being able to see your family for, over a year and a half now. Like, tell me about that.
Well, I just blame my sister because, frankly, I think she should have just kept the baby in until COVID was over.
Bales, just suck it back in.
So I think it's
suck that baby back in.
It was very rude timing on her behalf, and I think I've just learnt to blame her.
Yeah.
No,
that's perfect.
In all seriousness.
Put all of your problems on somebody else. It's the easiest way.
It's her fault.
To solve everything.
Yeah, she should have kept the baby in. But no, I mean, I think that's been really hard because we found out obviously when she was first pregnant, and there wasn't really in my mind, like I still didn't think we'd be where we are. Like I thought things would move forward, and I thought that we thought
quarantine would open up, we'd figure out a way to get out there.
There was no way that I thought that I wouldn't be able to make it back for my sister's first baby. And, I'm really close with my sister and my brother and my family. And so there's been a lot, I think, for us that we've had to push back our wedding.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of things that that I never envisioned wouldn't happen. And so I think it's been a whirlwind for me. I think the biggest thing for me has been being okay with feeling the feelings, like feeling the anger and the frustration, and because and I love people, but first of all, when you say things like that, people are like, you're grateful that you've got WhatsApp, or like at least you have Snapchat to be able to connect and Zoom, and I'm like, I am, but like I need to feel the feels. Like, I'm grateful, but like I can't just be, we talk about being a gold-plated pile of shit. Like, I was feeling like a pile of shit.
If you're feeling like a pile of shit, you have to, like, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, we can always be grateful for those things, but if you feel like a pile of shit, you have to feel like that for a little bit.
Yeah, and so I think it's been a lot of feeling like a pile of shit for me. But I think I needed that because there was a lot of sadness and hurt and anger at situations and all of these feelings surfacing, and I think I think there's so many people that whether you're stranded from your family right now and can't get home, whether you've had to close your business, whatever it might be, whether you have a loved one that you haven't been able to see, or whatever it is, like so many people are going through so many different things in these last 18 months, and I think the first of all is like really giving yourself that permission to feel the crap. Yeah, because I think it's great to be grateful and positive and happy, and all of that has its place, but without being able to kind of like flush through the emotions. And so I don't know how long you would say, I think I had like several months of just like, it was like this, like I'd feel one day, I'd be just in tears, and then the next day I'd be grateful.
You just wanted to see her, you just wanted to be there, and then the next day you'd be so grateful for what we do have. So.
Yeah, and so I think that was the first thing for me. I think
I think there's also, it's been a big lesson, and I think for everybody, I think this specifically for us has been a big lesson in relinquishing control a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's been, so that was like my one thing for last year and this year was really surrendering and trusting that I'm always on the right path, and that things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me, and
which is sometimes really hard to see when you're in the middle of the shit.
Well, I think that's it. I think more than that, it's been like what I've really come to realize is that, you know, you can always look back on situations, right, and say, I see this growth opportunity, or this, you know, going through this tough time allowed me to blah, 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 allowed me to grow in this way, it allowed me to do this. But a lot of the times you can't see that when you're in it. And so for me, it's, you know, this goes back to the trust thing and the surrendering, is it's like having the trust and the faith that right now, you know, you may feel like complete shit, whether it's just that your business isn't working, whatever it may be. It's like you may feel like complete shit, but I have to have this trust and this faith that I'm going through that for a reason, and that this is going to cause me to grow in some way that I may not be able to see right now.
But you'll see it 5 years from now.
But I'll see it, yeah, or maybe even 6 months from now. I don't know. But a lot of that has then had to come with letting go of control. And I think that's difficult because, I mean, we've had conversations and I'm like, how do I don't want to just give up on going home and seeing my family. So how do I like surrender, but also make sure I'm creating the things that I want in my life? And it's this delicate
still
balance.
Continue to have this like this intention and this hope, but at the same time not be attached to the outcome.
Yeah, well, I guess like a good example was the other day we spoke about, like, in one day I kind of went through all the fields because I started Googling flights back home to Australia, and I found these flights like $2,000, and I was like, oh my god, I get to go home.
Just in case you're wondering, right now flights to Australia are $8,000 to $10,000, $8,000 to $10,000 per person one way.
I think that's return.
So round trip now.
But yeah, so I was like, oh my god, I found flights. I knew that I could get into the country, but it was the flights and everything like that. And I was like, I can get home. And so then I was like, will you be able to come with me? And we were trying to figure that out. And we were like, maybe later, but I really wanted to go right now. So then it was this, started to be like, okay, I'll let go of the attachment of us going together. And I was like, okay, I'll go on my own. And a big part of that was really scary for me, was like quarantining in a hotel where I really value health and sunshine and fresh air and all of that.
And you'd be locked up in AC.
And I'd be locked up.
And
fried
no
by
good
Wi-Fi.
Food and fried by Wi-Fi.
You know, no friends, no family, all of that stuff. So I went through that and then was like, you know what? I came to just be like, I'll make the most of it, and I'll make this into like a growth opportunity, and like I'm gonna be really positive about this, and you know, I'm gonna make this time for me. And I think I got to a really good space about it. And I was really terrified for several hours. Then I really got to a good space. And so then I started Googling and going into these Facebook support groups. And then I found out that the flights that I found were a complete sham. And they're not flying to Australia, and they just put them up at the moment, and then they cancelled them like a month before. And the flights that were flying wasn't, you know, I wouldn't be able to get on. And so I just went through this like complete roller coaster.
The full rainbow of emotions.
All of it. And I think the biggest thing in that was like, you just keep getting punched in the face. And it's like, you just kind of have to, this was a big lesson of surrendering for me, as to like, okay, like I was committed and I was like going down this path, and then it's throwing you another way, and you go in another way. And you have to kind of learn to ride that wave. And it's not easy. I mean, it was like, I called my mom, I spoke to you, like I was talking to people. I think that's another thing, is making sure you're having people that you can speak to and having people that you can process through. But then it ended up being like, I have to surrender and I have to let go of that control. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop checking flights and I'm going to stop getting there, but it's the attachment to like, I have to go now and I have to see her. And I think,
and it has to be this way.
And it has to be this way. And we were talking about that with our wedding.
So real quickly, like with everything that like you had to go through over the last like, I don't know, it's now been a while, like, well, it's been 9 months.
About 18 months, because prior to that, it was the visa problem.
The visa problem, so you couldn't get home, and now the last 9 months of the baby. Like, because I think, like you mentioned, there's a lot of people out there that are going through similar situations like this. Maybe it's not exactly the same as having to get home to Australia, but there's a lot over the last 18 months or 12 months specifically that, you know, we've all kind of had to like let go of a little bit more. Like, what's your advice to everybody out there right now?
Oh gosh, a couple things. I think I would say find support. I think it's really important. Like, I haven't gone through this on my own. Like, you've been the biggest support, and I don't think I could go through it on my own. So find support, and then, you know, for me, it's been about trusting and bringing myself back to that this is happening for, it may not be for the reason that you see or you want at the time, but there is a reason. There is something that you can get from it, some form of growth. And so trusting that, like, you know, that growth will come and then it will be a really good thing, and reminding myself to surrender and let go of those attachments. And look, that sounds really easy. It's not that easy. Like, I've spent the last 18 months like
you hear her talking about it and it sounds easy, but that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's and I think that's the other thing is, like, don't expect that, you know, there's one quick fix and the magic pill and then the next day you'll be feeling fine. Like, it will be a roller coaster and it will be a journey, and that's okay, you know. And I think that's been the thing for me. It's been 18 months and I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, but I'm getting there day by day.
Yeah, beautiful. So everybody remember, as we continue to move forward, there's going to be a lot of shit that is outside of our control. There's going to be a lot of stuff that is still in our control, and we need to make sure to have the courage to take that control. But there's a lot of stuff that's outside of our control, and we need to be okay surrendering and not being attached to the outcomes there. So remember, you didn't sign up for easy. You signed up for impact.